All right, guys, we're going to take a look at some more examples here with linear equations. To start with, we've got this Mike's mover. He's charging a flat rate of $125 plus $20 per hour. If one of the customers was charged a total of $265, the question is how many hours? So what we need to find is the number of hours. How many hours were they charged for? All right. So this first sentence is basically an equation. It says he charges. Let's just call that C for charge. The charge is 125 plus $20 per hour. Well, that's a rate. Per hour means I'm multiplying times the number of hours. Let's call that 8 so it makes sense. Then it says the customer was charged. Well, C, once again, that represents the charge. In this case, the charge was $265. So that means where there is a C, I can plug in over here the 265. And as I solve this equation, I'm going to be solving for H, which is the number of hours, and that's what the question's asking us to find. So 265 is equal to 125 plus 20H. We subtract the 125 on each side. And when we do that, let's see here, we get 140 is equal to 20H dividing by 20, and your answer for the number of hours in this situation is going to be 7. So 7 hours. All right. Looking at the next problem, Sheila has a base monthly salary of $1,400. For every sale, she earns an additional $50. Sheila's goal is to earn $4,300 this month. And the question is, how many sales does she need to have in order to meet that goal? So, all right, this is talking about her income. So what is her income? Okay, Sheila's income starts out at $1,400 base salary. Salary means that's money she gets just for working her job. And then on top of that, she gets to add $50 for every sale. So $50 per sale. I'm going to use an X for the number of sales. And it says that her income goal, she wants to make $4,300 for the month. So the question is, how many sales does she need to have in order to make that happen? Well, since the income is the goal is 4,300, we're going to plug this in for I, and we're going to solve it for X, which represents the number of sales, which is what the question is asking us to solve for. So we start here, we subtract the 1,400 from each side. And as I subtract 1,400, I'm going to get 2,900. And that's equal to 50x. And as I divide each side here by 50, x, which represents the number of sales, is going to be 58. So the number of sales, C, 58. Okay, I'm taking a look at the next one. Reed's Hardware discounts all riding lawnmowers 8%. So it's a discount of 8% to customers that pay in cash. Trey paid $1,197.54 in cash, so he's going to get the discount because he paid in cash for his riding mower. Which of the following equations can be used to determine the original price? So we want an equation to represent the price, and it tells me that X represents the original price and Y represents the discounted price. All right, so they've already defined the variables, and let's take a look. Y is going to be the amount that we pay after discount. Let's take a look at that discount. Discount of 8%. And if we have a discount of 8%, the question is what percentage are we paying? Well, the original cost, I'm going to abbreviate OR, the original cost is always represented by 100%. So if I have an original cost of 100% and a discount of 8%, we're going to subtract those. You are actually going to pay 92%. So I'm going to pay 92% of the original. So y is going to equal 92%. Now remember, 92% as a decimal is 0.92. 92% of the original, well, the original price, we're using x. So it's going to be 0.92 times x. And this whole $1,197, it really doesn't come into the equation. That's kind of an answer that we already got, I guess. So that doesn't even come into play here. The equation is represented by y equals 0.92 times x. All right, here we go. Suze pulls in the local convenience store, fills her car up with gasoline, and the gas is selling for $2.05 a gallon. I could say that's per gallon. That is a rate. She uses the pay at the pump feature, decides to get the car washed. The car wash is an extra $5 onto her bill. What is the total amount of her purchase if she gets 10 gallons of gasoline? So there's all the information that's important. The question wants to know what is the total amount that she's going to pay. Okay. Well, what is she going to pay? Let's use P. Her pay or payment is going to be $2.05 per gallon. So per gallon means I'm multiplying it times the number of gallons. So 205 per gallon. Plus, she decides to get the car wash. And the car wash is another $5 onto her bill. So she's going to pay $2.05 per gallon plus the $5. And we know the number of gallons that she's getting. So G, the gallons, is 10. Well, that's just simply plugging in for G. And then once we do that, we are going to find the value or the price that she's going to pay overall. So 205 times 10 plus 5, and that could be a calculator activity. You could plug it in 2.05 multiplied by 10. Well, that's just going to move the decimal one place. And then we add the $5 for the car wash, and her grandiose total is 25.5 or $25.50. All right, taking a look here at the back side of this note sheet. It says we have a company manufactures and sells video games. A survey of video game stores indicates that a price of $65 is going to have a demand of 300 games. And if the price is $35, so the price of 35 would have a demand of 900 games. All right, so if a linear relationship between the two exists, which of the following equation models the price-demand relationship? It tells us here what the variables are going to be. X is going to represent the price per video game. Y is going to represent the demand. So they give us these equations in y equals mx plus b form. So one way we have of looking at this, guys, is that they are comparing two things two times. They're comparing price, which is their x value, to the demand, which they're calling the y value. And they're comparing two things two times. For me, that is going to be two ordered pairs. So $65 per game. The demand is going to be 300 games. And then if the price was $35 per game, it says that the demand would be, in that case, 900 games. So going back to writing equations of lines from back earlier in the year, we're going to take a look at the formulas that we need to make this happen. And here we go. One of them is a slope formula. To write slope-intercept form, obviously we need the slope of the line. So to find the slope, we're going to plug in, and m is going to equal the y value subtracted on top, so y2 minus y1. So it's going to be 900 minus 300 over the x value subtracted on the bottom. Well, the x2 minus x1, the second x value is 35 minus the first x value of 65. And when we subtract this, we get 600 on top, and we get a negative 30 on the bottom. So in the end, our slope is negative 20. All right, so to write this equation, I've got the slope. Now I need to plug into my point slope formula, because I've got actually 2 points. I've got the slope here. So as I start plugging into the point slope formula, I take y minus y sub 1. So minus y sub 1, and it doesn't matter which ordered pair I pick here. I'm just going to go ahead and use the first ordered pair there. So y minus the first y value is 300 equal to m, which is the slope of negative 20, times x minus that first ordered pair's x value, which is 65. And we go ahead and distribute here, get negative 20x. Negative 20 times the 65 is going to be plus 1,300. The y minus 300 would just come down. To solve this, I would add 300 to each side. And as I add 300 of each side, I find out that my y-intercept ends up being 1,600. So the equation is y equals negative 20x plus 1,600. So final answer here is B. All right, moving along, taking a look at our next one. It says we have a radio station. They're giving away concert tickets every hour. At the end of the second hour, so at the end of the second hour, the station has 638 tickets left. At the end of the fifth hour, the station has 551 tickets left. All right, write an equation in general form. Well, general form, guys, that's talking about standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. To express the number of tickets the radio station has, which is going to be the y value, so the tickets is y, as a function of the number of hours passed. So the hours passed is going to be x. That makes a lot of sense, guys. If you ever have a variable of time, it will always be the x value or the independent variable. As I look at this, I'm in the same boat I was in the last problem. Two things: hours compared to tickets. Hours compared to tickets. Two things compared 2 times is going to give me 2 ordered pairs. The hours are my x values. The number of tickets remaining is y. So at the end of the second hour, there are 638 tickets left. And then at the end of the fifth hour, there are 551 tickets left. Now, I could go back up and do just like I did on the previous problem and plug in and find my slope, use my point slope formula to get my equation. But we've also talked about another option this year is using the calculator. So if I hit the data key on the calculator, and let's delete out what we got here already. And we'll type in these 2 ordered pairs. So I have 2 for my first x value, 5 for the second. Remember, the x values go in the list 1. The y values of 638 and 551, those go into list 2. And they should look like the ordered pairs here in the table, the same as they do there. Then I go ahead and go to second and quit. And that just takes me back to the home screen. And then I go to second data or second stat. And I'm going to do 2 variable statistics. So I arrow down and hit enter. Two variable statistics, I just simply hit enter a few times here. I don't want to calculate, so I hit yes to enter. And then I arrow down. And on the calculator, if you remember, it's y equals, instead of mx plus b, it's y equals ax plus b. So the equation here is y equals negative 29x plus 696. And then here it's asking me for a standard form. Well, standard form, that just gets the x term to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and add this 29x to each side. And as I add the 29x to each side, the standard form for this is going to be 29x plus the y. Since there's no sign with it, we know it's positive. And that's equal to, well, these guys cancel out. And I've got 696. So 29x plus y equals 696. So an answer here of B is what we are looking at. All right. Taking a look here, Zach and his friends had a movie marathon on Saturday. During the movie, each movie they watched was 2 hours in length. 4 hours into the movie marathon, they had watched 2 movies. All right, so each movie 2 hours long. 4 hours in, they had watched 2 movies. I'll write an equation in general form again. The number of movies they watch y is a function of the number of hours they spent watching movies x. So they're defining the variables yet for us one more time. And let's organize this information. 2 things. The movie compared to the time. Movie watched compared to the time. So remember, time is my x variable. Number of movies watched is the y. So each movie, so for one movie, it takes 2 hours. And then for it takes 4 hours. So 4 hours to watch 2 movies. So we've got the 2 ordered pairs. I've got the option of using either the slope formula and then the point slope formula to get my equation, or I can plug into the calculator again to save a little time here. I've already done this, and I plugged into the calculator, and I have y is equal to 0.5x, and then the b value is 0. Well, we really don't want the decimal, so the 0.5 would convert to 1/2. So 1/2 x. Don't necessarily need to write the 0 here. And then to get it into standard form or into general form, we're going to get rid of the fraction. So to do that, if you remember from back earlier, we would multiply by our common denominator of 2. Multiplying every term through gives me 2y equal to 2 times 1/2 x is just 1x, or x. And then to get standard form, I want to move this x term over, so I'm going to subtract it on each side. And as I do that, I've got negative x plus 2y equals, and everything cancels out over here. So if everything's gone, we've got to put a 0 there as a placeholder. And in the end, remember, standard form, general form, you don't want a negative in front of your leading term. So we go through and change all these signs by multiplying through by a -1. So I multiply by the -1, all the signs just simply change. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Positive, negative, and then obviously 0 doesn't have a sign, so that's not going to change. So x minus 2y equals 0 is my final answer on that one. All right, final question here. Says Leanne leaves town at an average speed of 47 miles per hour. So Leanne is average speed of 47 miles per hour. After 2 hours, Bart leaves town, and Bart is going to be traveling in the same direction at an average speed of 72 miles per hour. Which of the following equations could be used to represent the distance between Leanne and Bart after x hours? X is going to represent, in this problem, the time that Bart has been traveling, and y is going to represent the distance between Leanne and Bart. Well, if we take a look at this, Leanna has a head start. So y, the distance between them, equals, well, what does it equal to? She's traveling 47 miles per hour. And she's traveled before Bart ever starts for 2 hours. So if I take a look at this, the hours would reduce out, I would multiply, and the 47 times the 2 means that Leanne has got a 94-mile head start. Wow. So y, the distance between Bart and Leanne, starts out at 94 miles. Then after uh, Leanne has got this head start, now Bart takes off 2 hours after the fact, and Leanne's speed is 47 miles an hour. Bart's speed is 72 miles per hour. So if we subtract these, we're going to find out how many miles Bart catches every hour. So we can go ahead and do that in the calculator. 47 minus 72. All right. Oops. Here we go. Try that one more time. 47 minus 72. Need to clear up what we had there. We hit enter. And so he is making progress at 25 miles per hour. So y, the distance between, is 94 miles, minus 25 miles per hour, or every hour. And remember that x is representing the hours, so 25 miles per x. So the equation here is going to be y is equal to 94 minus 25x. All right, guys, I hope that helps. You can either use a calculator. This calculator is available online. I will have information on Google Classroom on how you could download this onto a computer. Unfortunately, you cannot download onto a Chromebook. And if you have questions, come into the chat room. Be glad to help you out. Have a great day and stay safe.